Hi, I'm Mary and welcome to my channel. And here I like to show you how to make simple, cute things. And today what I have planned for you is how to paint this adorable, happy little bouquet of tulips in a jar. Now this is a pretty easy project and I'll tell you the supplies that you need and step-by-step instructions on how to do it. But I've been having fun all week long painting tulips. I'll show you a couple other ones. Here's one more, another variation on a theme. And here's yet another one. So I hope that you'll stay with me and get your paints out and your paper, and let's have some fun making some cheerful tulips. The supplies that you'll need for this painting are pretty simple. First of all, you'll need a 5x7 sheet of watercolor paper, or actually any size that you like. This is just the size that I chose. Masking tape if you like to tape down the edges of your paper to keep it from curling. And also, if you decide that you're going to paint the background like I did, when you pull off the tape, it makes this very cute little frame around the picture. Today I'm using my Mungyo 48 color watercolor paint set. You can use any watercolors that you have. You'll also need to have a couple brushes. I like to have like a maybe size 6, 7, or 8 round brush like this. And this is a size 3 round brush Princeton brush. Very nice. And then also have some kind of a pen or marker that you use to do the line work with, like you see on here, if you want to do line work. And then a pencil and an eraser. And last but not least, you'll need some rinse water, some paper towel, and a little scratch paper if you want to just draw your jar out before you put it on the actual watercolor paper. All right, so gather those supplies and we will get started. I'm going to divide this painting into 3 different sections. First of all, we're going to paint the tulip flowers and we're going to let those dry. And then we're going to lightly sketch a jar down here. And then we're going to paint in the stems, the leaves, and the water. And we'll do a background if you'd like. So that's what we'll do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do yellow and pink tulips because I've been painting a lot of tulips. You see, this week I've been doing all sorts of tulips. So you pick whatever color you like. I mean, you could do like all red or just whatever colors that make you happy. So let's get going. All right, so these tulips are very, very simple tulips that we're going to paint. They just give you the impression of tulips. So I'm going to start out with just my plain yellow color here. And I'm going to do a little oval, just like this. Just a simple oval. And then when this dries, we're going to come back in and do another oval to complete the tulip. But first of all, we're going to move ahead with the other tulips. I said I was going to do pink, and I'm going to do pink. So you probably want to have different heights for your tulips, not all the same height. Just make it interesting, like a little bouquet would look like. Now I didn't leave much room there for my yellow tulip, but that's okay. We might even turn this into a bud. Okay, and then I'm going to do another yellowish tulip, but I think this one I'm going to make it be more of an orangey yellow. So let's put one over here, like that. All right, now we're going to let that dry for a minute and then we'll come back and finish the tulip flowers. Everything is dry now. I used my heat gun to dry it, or you could use a blow dryer, or you can just let nature take its time and dry it on its own. Okay, so the next step is we're going to do the other half of the tulip. And so this one I didn't leave much room, but that's okay. We can always fix little things that we do along the way. So I'm going to use this kind of orangey yellow, and I'm going to turn this into more of a tight tulip since I don't have a lot of room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another oval. Now that doesn't show up very well on camera, so I'm going to make it a little bit, I'm going to add a little more orange into it so you can see it better. So I'm just doing another oval right beside it, but overlapping it. See how that looks like a tulip that's just about to open? All right, then we'll work on the pink one. And because you can pick whatever colors you want, I decided I don't want to have both sides exactly the same. So I'm going to pick a little darker pink. That's quite a bit darker, but I can add a little water to it. Although I do like that. And now this one, I'm going to make it a little more full, like that. I love watercolor for tulips, and the transparency of it, because I think it's so pretty when you can see things behind like that. And I'm going to make the top of this tulip just a little bit more pointed. There we go. A little more pointed. So I got quite a bit of water on there, so I'm just dabbing a little bit of it off. Okay, and then for this one, I'm going to go back to my yellow for the second half of this. So again, I'm going to make just an oval, kind of a chunky oval. Like that. Voila, we have our tulips. Now you could always add more if you want, but we're keeping this simple. So we've got that. Now we're going to let this dry, and while we let it dry, we're going to start thinking about the placement of our jar or our little glass vase. So you can see on this, we have the tulip flowers, and then a little further down would be the start of our vase, our glass vase that we're going to do. So what I recommend is using a little bit of scratch paper to draw out your vase first, and it can be as simple as, here's probably the simplest way that you could do it, is just this, and just be sketchy about this. You don't have to be like super duper straight or anything. So draw yourself, like this would be the top of the jar or the vase, and then this would be the simplest way. And then I'm just going to draw kind of a straight line down, and then I'm going to mimic this and draw another one, and that would be the bottom of the jar. And you want to make them, the ovals, the curves, be very similar. And then also somewhere in here, oh, and before that, then I also like to sketch in just a little bit of lines that sort of give you the idea of the sides of the glass. And then somewhere in the middle, we'll draw another oval, very similar, but it'll be inside these lines, and that'll be to give you the idea of the water. So something like that. Now, if you wanted to turn this into more of a jar like this, then the only real difference is that the sides go out, and they're a little, makes it more chunky. So I'm going to just erase my sides and show you how that would be. So we would just come down a little bit here, and since we can add a little lip here for the jar with some lines, and then we would just go down a little bit on each side, and then just swerve it out and curve it back in, swerve it out and curve it back in. It doesn't need to be perfect at all. In fact, wonky looks kind of cool. And then I'm gonna just put the sides in like I did before, and then I would have to change my water because it would be more out like that. So if you wanted to do something like that. So now, once you have that down, so now what I would recommend is transferring that just with your pencil and drawing lightly onto your watercolor paper. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to turn this just a little bit. I'm going to just draw a simple oval down here. And actually, I think I want it to be a little bit lower than that because I want to have some room for some nice stems. So I'll make my face not be very tall. Something like that. And then I think I am going to do one like this. So I'm going to just put some little sides down like that and make this would be like the top of the jar. And then I'm going to come down straight, and then I'm going to go around and around like that. And then I'm going to mimic this oval down here like that. And then the water will be, well, I'm going to put little sides on it just to give the effect that there's thickness to the glass. And then the water would be maybe down in here. Something like that. Okay, now that we have that drawn in, it's easier to figure out where to put the stems, and then we can add the leaves, and then we'll finish up with the jar. Okay, so now this is where our thinner brush comes into play. This would be for the stems. And what I like to do is I like to incorporate more than one shade of green. So this is kind of a yellowish green here. This is more of an olive green. So I'm going to start with, well, actually, I guess that's a mixture of both of them. But so in this exercise, it's okay to just draw the stem straight down because we're going to paint over this part, and we'll be able to cover up the stem. I'll show you in a minute what I mean. So for me, I find it easier if I make my brush go like this if I want to do a thin line rather than like this. But you have to do what's right for you and what works for your hand. So I'm going to get my paint again. So I'm going to start with this one right here. So I'm going to just draw a skinny stem like that. Now if you go over this part, that's okay because we can paint over that. It'll be okay. And then we're going to do another one, and I'm going to get even a different shade of green. Let's see here. That's a big departure there. We'll add a little bit of... All right, so now we're going to do the middle tulip, and I'm going to make this one be a little longer, like so. And then we're going to do the last one. And like that. Now we have 3 tulips with stems. Now the next thing we're going to do is add some leaves to our tulips. Now the leaves, normally the leaves on a tulip are like long and skinny, and they're actually pretty long. So we could have a leaf starting down here that comes up out of the jar like so. So let's try that. And I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to just, you just sort of imagine like how the leaf could be in the water and then coming out of the water. And then I'm going to fill it in. And I'm purposefully not painting across the top of the jar, but like I said, if you went straight through, it's not a problem because we can fix that. All right, so that looks pretty good. It does look like a stem a leaf that's coming out of the water. Yeah. Okay, now on this one, I think we could actually maybe have a leaf that's just starting down here and goes up like so. Let's try that. In fact, on this one, probably will switch over to my bigger brush. But yeah, let's give that a try. So I'm going to actually start up here. I might just go with that right there. And maybe there would be another one on this flower that starts further down. And now that I switched brushes, I think the smaller one works better since we're working in tight spaces. All right, let's mix up some greens here. I'm going to add a little blue to the green. Not too blue, but I want a little bit of blue so that when we paint our water, it all feels cohesive. So there we go. All right, so now I'm going to put another leaf on this stem, and it's going to start here. I'm going to make it go up, and then imagine that it goes up like so. And you see how I just take my wet brush and went over this area, and now I've kind of erased the stem behind it. And then let's add at least another one that is on this tulip that goes up here a little ways. Let's do that. Let's say that this one maybe is sort of like here. Maybe this is just a suggestion of this one. Like that. And then it sort of butted up against that green one, so I'm going to just dab it a little bit. Now we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to add in the touches to our jar. But I also wanted to say that if you'd like to add the little part in the middle to your tulip, this would be a great time to do that. So let's do that real quick. So for example, for this pink one, I'm going to choose a color that is a little darker because it's in the center of the tulip, so therefore it wouldn't have as much light to it. And it's just like drawing a little bit of a diamond right in here. It doesn't have to be anything real accurate, just a little diamond, and you just get the idea that the other part of the tulip is there, just like that. Okay, and it also looks kind of nice, I think, with a deeper color. What do you think about that? And then on the yellow tulip over here, I think I'm going to use an orange for the middle part. And like I said, it's perfectly fine if you don't want to add this onto your tulips. I think they look sweet without it as well. And then on this one, I'm going to just add a little bit of an orange here. Okay, so we got that all set. All right, now let's let this dry, and then we're going to work on the jar. So now for the jar, I like to think that this jar has a little bit of color to it. And what I'm going to use is a little bit of Payne's Gray, which is kind of like a bluish. It's actually a pretty dark color, but then I'm also going to add a little blue to it. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to paint the lip of the jar. Just get a little color on it, like that. You don't want it to be sopping wet, and we probably will go back and add a little more color, but that's good for starters. And then we're going to add a little color to the edge of the jar, going to get a little more Payne's Gray, a little more water. If you're new to watercolor, you just learn these things along the way as far as how much water and how much color. It's a lot of trial and error, but it's also a lot of what you like and what your preference is. So we're going to just add a little color to the edge of this vase, little jar vase. It's really cute. And then we're going to add some color down here on the bottom. And as you can imagine, a jar, when you're looking at it, you want to give it a little sense of depth. So we're going to put that in, and then we're going to just give it a little anchor down here, place to rest. And then I'm going to just give it just a little outline to give you the idea, and then we'll put in a little bit of the lines where not covering up the leaves, because you want to see the leaves. Okay, so now we have that, and then we let it dry, and then we're going to add in the water. So far so good, right? Oh, and also I think at this point in time we could add, I'm going to add a little of an aqua color. Let's see here. Actually, I think it's this right here. There we go. A little bit more of an aqua color. Not too bright, not too dark here. We're going to just get a hint of it. And we're going to just try not to touch the sides. If you do, again, no problem. But let's just give this a light. You don't want to necessarily make your leaves run, well, like I just did there, but that's okay. That's actually quite pretty. Okay, now we're going to let that dry, and then we'll come back and finish the rest of the water. Yes. So the next thing is we're going to just add a hint of water down here. You can already see the top of it. We're not going to go very dark on this, so maybe a little bit more color. Not too much water though, because we don't want to disturb our stems. Just a little hint, like so. There, and then we can go back with that Payne's Gray. And actually, I think I'm going to go back with my thinner brush, with my Payne's Gray right here. And I'm going to add just a little bit more definition along the sides. And I see it's bleeding in there. And I think that might be okay that it's doing that. Actually, it gives you that water feeling. Water feeling. It gives you the idea of water. So we got all of that done. So now the next step would be, if you want to add a background to your painting, and that is totally optional. One thing we could do is paint the entire background like I did here. Another thing we could do, which actually I haven't tried this much, but we could just do a little frame around the edges and then let it be more white around the actual vase. I think I'm going to try that. Let's give that a try. So now the question is what color do we want to use? I think I'm going to echo the vase, and I'm going to use some of that Payne's Gray and a little blue, and I'm going to just paint a little color around the edges.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Like so. Just go around, and this actually could be pretty cute. I haven't really done this before, but I'm thinking it could be an alternative to painting the whole background, if indeed you want to have a background, but this is pretty cute. I think we'll just leave it like that. I don't think there's a whole lot more I need to do. You just don't want your edges to be too tidy. Just watery and flowing like that. Ooh, I really like that. I hope you give it a try. But at this point, you still could go in and paint the entire background, in which case you have to just be sort of careful going around the tulips, and you don't have to get every single little space, but and then also a little bit in the jar and behind the jar, like you see, like I did here. Okay, so now we'll let this dry, and then if you want to add line work, which again, that's very optional, we can do that as well. So I'm using a Pentel liquid gel ink pen, and this is not waterproof, so I can't really do line work while the painting is wet with this pen, or it will bleed. But if you use like a micron pen, those are more actually waterproof. This I think is just water resistant. So to do the line work, the way that I like to do it is to make it sketchy and loose and not be super tight. What I mean by that is if you were to do it really tight, you'd do like a coloring book. You would just outline right along the edge of the paint. But for this, I'm thinking something loose and fun and whimsical. So instead of holding your pen real close, you hold it back here, and you have to sort of hold yourself back and say, all right, this will be okay because I want to just scribble. So let's just start with this pink one. I'm going to just see, and I didn't go in the lines, and then I like to go back over it. See, it's just a light little scribble. And then we'll do the same thing here. And then I'll add, I like to do 2 lines because I think it's even cuter. And on this one, you see this petal sort of faded right into there, but when we do the line work, we can make it show up again, sort of like that. When you hold the pen back, it truly does make you scribble. Kind of look like a kindergartner did it, but that's okay. That's what we're after, just something whimsical. All right, and then this one, and we'll do it again. And then we'll do this, and we'll do it again. See how cute that is? And then we can do the leaves. But again, that's optional. If you just want to do the tulips, that's fine as well. And here, I can actually put a point on the leaf. It didn't have it before, but now I created it with my line work. And then here's another leaf that we can do. And this one. And this one. All right, and then I just like to draw a line through the stem. Now, my paint isn't completely dry, so I could have a problem down here, but maybe not, maybe not. Okay, so we are done, and now all you need to do is date and sign your work if you enjoy doing that, and then we can take off the tape. This is the very fun part, is taking off the tape. And I always like to pull it like at a 45-degree angle, and I have better luck with it so it doesn't tear the paper. And I like to keep my tape to use it at least one more time, so I just put it over there. This is just an old plastic cutting board that I'm no longer using in the kitchen. All right, that one's trying to be cranky on me, so let's pull this one. Oh, see the cute little frame that we're getting, that cute little white frame. And then here, that's adorable. And last but not least, there we go. And if you wanted to add a little line work to your vase, you could also do that. Kind of in the same manner. What I like to do is this part, maybe a little bit of, just to give a little suggestion there, and then I like to do a little line work here. And as you know, a jar has like those little thicker lines that the lid can go on. So if yours is like a jar like mine, then I like to add those in. And we'll do a little, I'll probably do another little line here. Gives it that nice sketchy hand-drawn look. And there we are, all done. I hope that you really enjoyed this. And if you liked my video, I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Thank you so much for spending time with me today painting. I hope you're having lots of fun, and I will see you the next time.